Good evening, class. My name is Jacqueline Lucier, and today we'll be discussing climate change denial, particularly what happens in a mediated context within the United States versus China. So you may be wondering, what is climate change? Well, first of all, it's too laid back of a term. It isn't catch-all. Climate catastrophe is what this should be, because that is exactly what we're amidst. According to Roger Peichel, the Director for Science and Technology Policy Research at University of Colorado Boulder, quote, incompatibility between the definitions used by both science and policy organizations is an obstacle to effective action. So as you can see here, I grabbed 3 different definitions of the same phrase, climate change. One from the Framework Convention on Climate Change, one from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and the last one from NASA. This was just one of the NASA definitions. They provided more than one. They provided actually 3 on their main website. All of these different attacks and approaches to what climate change is essentially making the process of figuring out if climate change is real or not an issue. So you may be wondering now, well, what does climate change look like? If you're saying we live amongst it, well, droughts, wildfires, desertification, rising sea levels, melting glaciers, warming oceans, less snowfall, and humidity. If this impact is so obvious, what's the purpose of denial? Who is expressing it? Where is it occurring? Well, those are the answers I will be giving you today. The purpose of denial, according to the Psychology of Denial textbook, is an ego defense mechanism. Defense mechanisms are indirect ways of coping with anxiety. Denial is one of the many defense mechanisms. Denial is ignoring or refusing to believe in an unpleasant reality. In this case, the unpleasant reality is climate change. Another purpose of denial is obviously to fund the campaign, as this is as Sharon Bedgley cites. This is led by contrarian scientists, free market think tanks, and industry leaders to create a paralyzing fog of doubt around climate change. They're trying to keep climate change a hoax, and this is done by the denial machine, which I will address in a future slide. Lastly, the purpose of denial is to just keep things running as usual. As you can see here, the total U.S. greenhouse gas emissions are things that we all do in our daily life. Getting to work, turning on a light, going to Johnson & Wales University. All of these things are contributing to pollution and contributing to climate change. The US and China are leaders in consumption and output of these emissions. With that being said, there are denialists that reside all over the world, but especially within the US. And we'll see in China. So who's in denial? As I just mentioned, the United States of America is definitely in deeper denial than China. The rhetoric they prefer is not denialists, though. They prefer skeptics. They're just not sure if climate change is the real issue here. As Trump likes to say, show me the scientists. The white conservative males that tend to support Trump are also found to be denialists. As Mick Wright found in his study, their views contribute significantly to the high level of climate change denial. Government is obviously another place where denial exists. This happens through policy. Not implementing things such as recycling nationwide are affecting policy within local communities nationwide. It just needs to be a uniform policy that we can all learn and abide by, and then in turn change our world. As mentioned prior, the denial machine is a machine at that. It's made up of climate bloggers, self-designated experts, public relation firms, you name it, they're in there. Anybody who says climate change isn't real, they're part of it. As far as my research, it wasn't necessarily addressed that denial machine was happening within China, but there's self-designated experts anywhere throughout the world. This denial gets expressed in many different ways, in many different forms, in many different rhetorics. One of the main rhetorics is the Earth is just warming naturally. It's not caused by human activity, which has been proven wrong, that's all right. And when denialists approach, hey, it is warming, they say it'll be harmless. So all of these things are essentially backfiring on us. The denial machine is a huge expressor of that through blogs, through interviews, through word of mouth. It's just everywhere. Advertisements, social media, Donald Trump's tweet here. This isn't something that happens, this happened on November 6, 2012, but it's something that happens all the time. These have huge impacts on both public and Congress, especially with our president doing this. The U.S. has gone from a champion in climate change to advocating for fossil fuels thanks to Trump. As you can see here, China once again doesn't have many places where they can express this denial, unless it's through policy or mediated news sources, but China is actually seeing climate change as an opportunity to get ahead of everybody else. They're reversing old policies through policy that allowed water and air pollution previously, and they're just seeing this as a way to one-up while we have Trump in office. So you might be wondering, well, okay, it's obvious. Climate change exists, denialists are wrong. So why do we have to look at the denial? We need to develop an understanding. It's very obvious that climate change is indeed real. Developing an understanding for the other side helps us to address the possible existing holes within research that they're skeptical about. It's not anything that's necessarily can tear down the climate change power, but it will ease their anxiety and hopefully then turn on denial. And of course, we need to avoid history repeating itself. We as humans believe that our existence is infinite, when it is in fact not. We have gone extinct once, we can go extinct again. It's not necessarily from the same reasons or the same reasons, but yeah. It's pretty scary to think about our future. I mean, as you can see in this animated GIF here, it's getting hotter and hotter, and it's from human activity. It's not from natural occurrence, and sure, we can't prove that it's not, but it's very real. So 9 out of the 10 deadliest recorded heat waves have happened since 2000. Since the 1970s, 60% of the world's wildlife has been killed, and 100 million trees have been died in California in the last 10 years with wildfires. These aren't normal facts that I'm stating here. These are facts found in ASAP Science on a YouTube channel. But essentially, all I'm trying to say is we all live on the same Earth. We can sit here and deny climate change. We can sit here and acknowledge it. We are all intrinsically connected, though, and it is up to all of us to make a difference. And that is all, my friends.